Welcome to the January 18th, 2022 session of Tangerine SDR and HamSci technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I've been doing mostly computer work, partially programming and partially reorganizing computers. So, and networks. So that's taken most of my time this week. Next on the list, we have Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thanks a lot, Dave. The big thing for me this week is I finally got my manuscript submitted to Geophysical Research Letters about my large-scale traveling ionospheric disturbance event. There's just a lot of details that go into getting that done, but I did it. So that's in, and back to work tomorrow. So back to net.
Okay, next on the list is Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave.
Not a lot of excitement here. I've been preoccupied with some family distractions, and just seems like there's never much time. So I can't think that I've done much of any value to this project.
Well, okay. Next on the list is Dev, KC3PVE. Go ahead, Dev.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So at the beginning of this month, I moved to Iowa City. I began a new position here, postdoctoral research associate with Professor Jasper Helekas. So I began work at my new place, and it's going interesting. I'm also finishing up, rounding up a few of the talks that I had left to do in the project that I was involved with, Nathaniel. Thank you.
Well, very good. Congratulations on the new position.
Thank you.
And next on the list is Bill, AB4J.
AB4EJ.
Okay.
Echo
Go ahead.
Julia. Yeah, thanks, Dave. The only news related to this project for this week is our UAIT security team is working on getting the central control system and the HamSci database servers. One, there's a web server, and the other is the database backend into the university's DMZ, such that the right ports, a couple of right ports, can be touched from outside, from public users. So we're not quite out of the woods on that project yet, but that's all I have to report on this. I know that they're working on, well, I haven't heard anything new from them, so I expect that maybe if I went on the server and turned on the Django server and activated port 8000, perhaps I could hit it from the public internet. But we've got most things turned off right now until we have done all the security stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's it from this end. Back to net.
Well, fine business. And next on the list is Bill, N8ET. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, it gave me a little time to get set tonight, as opposed to last week, but not too much to report here. I was involved with North American QSO Party CW and the VHF contest this weekend. That took a couple days to figure out the nooks and crannies of N1MM to get set. So I really didn't do too much this week. So back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Dan, N4XWE. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Dave, and good evening, everyone. Been playing quite a bit with WSJT, more specifically FT8 and Whisper on the Raspberry Pi with pretty good results. Anyway, that's about it from here.
Well, good deal. And let's see. People are jumping around. The next one is David, N1 HAC. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, big things this week. I'm trying to button up some things with our Baffin Island project. We decided to put it on to a different location than Iqaluit, which, Yeoman knows this place. You can't pronounce it except that we realized its English name is Broughton Island. We used to have a grad student named, I think it was Matt Broughton. So that one we can remember. Anyway, finishing up some things there and basically notch filters, things like that. Problem with it we have, we'll find this also with our personal space weather stations, is local broadcasting in the same band. And in this case, it's a fairly strong NDB. Another site we're looking at has both an NDB and a AM radio station. In fact, in Iqaluit, the NDB is 6 kilowatts, where most NDBs are like in the 25 watt range. And at least Broughton Island is a 1 kilowatt, not a 6 kilowatt. But when you're in close proximity, you got to play games to keep that out of the receiver. The other thing is I was playing with the VHF UHF contest this weekend, and boy, things weren't very open. I could hear a lot of people, but I wasn't able to make a lot of contacts. I almost made more contacts on 2 meters than 6 meters. But and the other weird thing that I found with that is that nobody was on sideband. Everybody was on FT8. But because I've had good success on sideband in previous contests, but not this year. I guess when it's when band conditions aren't good, people dump onto FT8. Anyway, back to net.
Well, fine business.
Oh, one
And-
other thing I wanted
Oh,
to
go ahead.
mention was that it's been fascinating watching the feedback about the volcano explosion and how that's been both heard and seen in the propagation and whatnot. Very interesting stuff, including looking for TIDs. Back
Yes,
to that.
it was very interesting seeing the reports of sound reception from the volcanoes. So next on the list, we have another David Waugh, KE8 QEP. Go ahead.
Hello, good to see everyone tonight. I guess the only sort of ham-sci thing related is I did get my Tapper Whisper beacon fixed. I got the new parts from Bruce that I had fried, presumably. And so I got those parts in. I haven't tested it yet. And like Dave, I found with the with David McGaw, with the VHF contest, I was all excited. I got this new radio that could do sideband on 6 meters and VHF and UHF. And this contest was coming up and I didn't think I was going to be competitive, but I thought I could make some sideband contacts and everyone was on FT8. I was flabbergasted. I mean, shouldn't you be doing FT8 when there's not a contest on? I was a little floored, but I'm just a technician. So back to net.
Well, I think it's a valid point. Next on the list is, let's see, Gary, AF8A. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. And yeah, the comments on FT8 and 6 meters are, that's been a very strong trend of the past couple of years. And so the contest clubs I belong to are thinking about petitioning the league to do something different because, well, you can see why you might want to do something different. anyhow, we did get a couple more participants to come in for the North American QSO Party sideband version next week. And I just got information about a practice session, an on-the-air practice session. I'll put those notes in the chat in a minute. And other than that, I've been helping Jonathan with some of the diagrams for the VLF and the magnetometer work. So that's about all. Back to that.
Fine business. And next on the list is Yeoman Kim, KD2 MCR. Go ahead, Yeoman.
Good evening, everyone. I've been busy with preparation for my classes, which is tomorrow. The class starts tomorrow, so not so much to report today. By the way, with regards to what David mentioned, Iqaluit, is it? Don't we also call it Frobisher Bay or something? I know Iqaluit is located in Frobisher.
Yeah, that one I can pronounce. It's the other one.
Iqaluit. Yeah, a lot of Q's and K's and T's.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost
Anyway,
as
yeah,
bad as Welsh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Back to net. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the list is James, KG4 DSG. Go ahead, James.
Evening, Dave and the group. Not much to report here. Just trying to stay warm and keep the snow off. Back to net.
Okay. Next on the list is Jim, 7J1 AJH. Go ahead, Jim. Don't hear anything from Jim. Let's see. Okay. Not hearing from him. We'll go on to Jim, K4 BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening. Not a lot of interesting stuff to report here. I had been having some trouble with my Grape 1, and I was not getting good data off of it. And I thought I had some sort of a noise problem on 10 megahertz because when I would tune my K3 to 10 megahertz, the noise on the pan adapter went up about 30 dB. And when I tuned about a megahertz on either side, it dropped off. And I was really puzzled as what that noise was. I'm trying to figure it out. And then the other day I decided to get serious about running it down. And I am very embarrassed about what I found. The power light on the Grape 1 was out because the cable I had, the power pole connector hooking it into my station power had pulled loose, and I hadn't noticed it. And the reason that the noise went up on the K3 is that for some reason between about 8 and 11 megahertz, the pan adapter changes its gain by about 30 dB. So it looked like the noise was going up, but had I bothered to look on the scale on the side, I would have realized that was not the case. So bad me this week. And sorry I wasn't here last week. I was watching a football game, Bill.
Okay, well, I'm glad you found it. And so next on our list, we have Joe, W7LUX. Go ahead, Joe.
Good evening, everyone. Been busy here, just like everybody else, and even studying a little bit on quantum mechanics. Got a project going with Jules. But the Grape kind of went bananas here on the 15th, and if I can share my screen, show what's happening. Let me try that and see if I can do that real quickly. It says share screen. Now what do I do?
I think you just hit, there's another share button. You hit again. It's like share desktop 1. There you
Like
go.
that. There we go. Okay, top one is the last 24 hours, basically. The bottom one, it's kind of all bouncing around all in here during this WWV 10 megahertz. So there was a lot of something. It ran completely off the the ±1 Hz chart multiple times, which is quite unusual. This is the usual trace that I see day after day after day. So anyway, something there is happening. Now, how do I get out of sharing the screen? Or I guess you can do that.
There, I took care of it.
I will
Okay.
point out that was the day of the explosion. I don't know if it's related.
I don't know. I have
We-
the same thing. I've got the same thing on the 15th, or very
We-
similar to it.
We should take a look at that at that data, the grape data for the 15th.
And there was also a geomagnetic disturbance that weekend as well.
Mhm.
So just to mention that. So next on the list, we have Jonathan, KC3EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. It was quite an interesting week with the Tonga volcano explosion. It kind of made me wish that I had an infrasound sensor running and capturing data. I'm also involved in amateur seismology and amateur seismology instruments, and infrasound sensors always came up, but I was thinking, well, what do I really need that far? What do I really need that for? That's only for any volcanoes nearby, but apparently I was wrong. So it made me kind of wish that I had one, and I Angel from an amateur seismology group. He designed a 3D printed vertical seismometer. He gave me an article on how to build a do-it-yourself high-quality infrasound sensor. There was a lot of really good things that came out of this explosion. I don't know if any of you have been noticing, but I wrote some information on the Hamside group thread. There was quite a lot of interconnected events. I have two plots from NAA and NLK or NAU showing what definitely looks like an amplitude dip during the time of the explosion, and I thought that was really cool that I was able to catch that. Some people weren't. It kind of depends on your path between the VLF transmitter and where the antenna is. So I was pretty lucky to capture that. Also, I'm sure that all of you saw how much lightning that the ash cloud generated, and I posted a graphic showing superimposed lightning strokes over the ash cloud image, the satellite image, and I showed some spectrograms from Antarctica. 1 hour it was, completely clean, and the next hour when the explosion happened, there were spherics filling the whole thing. So it was really cool, and it was even seen on the Schumann resonances. So that was a really nice bit of information that I got from the VLF community. And also Gary has been a big help with the diagrams that he's been making. They all look great. Thank you, Gary. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list is our pilot, Michael AA8K. Go ahead, Michael.
Greetings to everyone listening. Back to you, Dave.
Very good. Next on the list is Scotty, W2 DFI. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay, close WA2 DFI.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just getting back, digging into the adapter board, trying to get that rolling again, and making some changes for Tom, and scheduled to get that into CAD later this week. And had to make a few changes because of power supplies again that were unavailable, that are being discontinued. So it's always fun. But trying to make some progress on this and get it rolling again. It's been stagnant for too long. So that's what's happening this week.
Okay, very good. Next on the list is Tom Yarnish. Go ahead. KJ6MKI.
Yeah, hi. It's been an interesting week here too, partially because of the Tonga event. All my high frequency whisper stations are off the air. I had a meltdown with my Kiwis, and I'm slowly rebuilding that. But more interesting, I meet with names you guys all know, Rob, AI6VN, who's been developing Whisper Demon, and KPH and KSH, whatever it is, and Gwyn G3ZIL and Glenn N6GN on our Monday morning coffee clutch. And there was a lot of discussion about the Tonga event. Gwyn, who's in South England, I think Southampton, had made a number of observations, but he had a magnetic sensor buried about 2 feet in the ground, and it didn't have forget what it was. He didn't see the magnetic disturbance, but what he did notice, because it was a very sensitive instrument, was a coincident and quite significant decline in air pressure. It was recorded on the instrument. It was apparently a nice Bosch sensor that I forgot the nomenclature, but he recorded it, and then they were looking at some of the whisper signals in the database, and also noticed some anomalies that were coincident with the Tonga event. And they all made reference to the HamSci website. They were very interested in the dialogue. I've been monitoring it, and they were just a good deal of excitement about what they saw. And then Gwyn is just a master at databases and data analysis, and he would recorded a lot of stuff. And of course, Rob has championing the Whisper Demon development with a lot of other people, John Siemens and other Kiwi developers. And so it's quite a stellar group, and I'm more or less checking in on their behalf. My own operations here in the last month or two have been pretty humbling. I'm kind of tearing my station down, so not much to report there. Decent weather here in the Bay Area, but God knows what will happen next. That's about all for now.
Okay, well, thanks for the report. And next on the list is Veronica, KD2UHN. Go ahead, Veronica. I don't know if she's there. Veronica, are you there? I hear a small voice.
Looks like she's trying.
Yes, the mic is on. Oh, now she turned it off. She's had trouble with using the microphone with one computer that she uses. Well, we'll let Veronica try to figure that out and we'll have an open discussion. And so I think we've covered each of the participants. So we're open for general discussion.
Nathaniel, this event that at least two of us saw on the 15th, you said we should look into that. What do you propose we do?
Well, I guess so I guess the thing to do would be to see, do we see signatures in the grape data that we suspect are related to that event? And if so, it would be good to try to confirm that they actually are from that event and understand how it happened.
That could make for a paper.
Yes,
there's some new
absolutely.
stuff there. There's some new science there.
yeah,
there are two
absolutely.
effects that, at least two effects that you would look for. One is from the pressure waves. The other is from the lightning.
Does I think there was a solar event that day too, was there?
Yeah, I think there was.
There could be a lot of stuff going on that day.
Well,
It'd
also,
be interesting figuring out how to parse it.
Upwelling
Yeah.
energy that makes it all the way from the top of the volcano all the way up to the ionosphere. Can that happen? I think it can.
Yeah, absolutely.
This would be a good event to work up for a presentation for the Hamsci workshop. It would be very timely.
Nathan, is there a date set for the Hamsci workshop?
Yes, it's March 18th and 19th.
Where?
At Huntsville, Alabama.
My God,
So
why
if
didn't you come to
go
San Francisco?
Well, we should do that. Not this year. Maybe not next year, but maybe the year after that. We should do it. Yeah, we definitely do need to go to a West Coast place. But yeah, so March 18th and 19th, Huntsville, Alabama. If you go to hamsci.org right now, there's a big banner on the front page.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So yes, I think we should definitely work on working this event up a little bit more. Is there anyone here who would like to start working that up?
The one thing I'll mention on that one is that I'd like to know what time of the day we expect some disturbance might have happened, because it takes some time for things to propagate.
Yeah.
Not speed of light for pressure waves. And we've got AM Doppler data that might show something too.
Yeah, maybe let's see. So one thing, Veronica, she wrote in the chat here that she thinks she fixed her mic problem. So maybe we can go back to her and get her update. And then after that, maybe Jonathan can show some of the plots that he's seen so far.
Hello?
Yes, your microphone's working.
Sorry about that. I must have inadvertently picked the wrong one. Hello, everyone. So this is actually the first time hearing about the volcanic eruption. I'm reading about it now, but it's really interesting to hear how it impacted the kind of data that everyone's collecting. Research-wise, I don't have anything too interesting to report, but ham radio-wise, I just applied to the ARRL scholarships, and I'm looking forward to the radio contest coming up. That's it for me.
Very good.
So Veronica, do you see Gary AFA over there?
Yes, I do.
So he's
Hello.
the one that's coordinating all of the people for this Hamsci contest this weekend.
Okay, I just actually sent him an email.
Perfect.
Yep, she's going to be on a team, no question about it.
Wonderful.
All right. Great.
Does anybody have a universal time for this volcanic event?
I was trying to look it up. I think it's 04 something.
Yeah, I'll do some research on that, see what I can find.
There were
I
actually
think-
two events. There was one a couple days earlier, but the big one was on Saturday, the 15th.
I saw that Attila Canali on, I guess that's how you say his name, on the Time Nuts list said he was monitoring a network of barometers around the world and had a pretty accurate time that it arrived in Torino. So even though he's in Zurich, but he's pretty good metrological sort of guy if you want data. So
Take a
a lot
look
of
at
people.
that.
Hmm?
I'll take a look at that. Thanks.
Mhm.
Jonathan, you have some plots that you've already worked up, right?
Yes, actually the eruption occurred around 5 UT. Let me bring up the plots. I could share my screen. So what was really cool is that I was able to capture it on the NAA and NAU amplitude plot. Let me bring up NAA. Yep, there it is. Let's see. Screen preview. Okay, what you're seeing is the NAA amplitude plot. And the event occurred around 5 UT, a little after 5 UT. And you can see this nice little dip in amplitude here. So what I'm guessing what happened, and I spoke with a fellow in the VLF community named Jean-Marie. We both believe that the shock wave caused perturbation in the ionosphere and affected propagation, and that could be seen here. And the reason why that I can see it here is because it depends on the path from the transmitter to the antenna, and where the antenna is. We were just lucky to actually get it. So this was really exciting that you know, we could see this little amplitude dip here. If you're wondering what happens at, that's when they take the transmitter off the air. That seems to be a normal occurrence. So this is normal, but the main thing here is this little dip in amplitude. There is also my NAU plot. That's a VLF transmitter in Puerto Rico. Let's see if I can find that here. Yeah, there we go. And it's not as pronounced with NAU, and I believe that has to do with the path. Let me share this. Okay, so with NAU, you can see at around 5 UT, there's a you know, from 5 to 8 UT, there's a little dip in the level there, but I'm not sure if this is a significant that this change in amplitude is really you know, something to if it really means anything, because I was looking at it and there could be some relation to the event, but I'm not really sure. Does anyone else have any input on this?
Tell me what I'm looking at again here. I'm sorry, I missed that.
So here on the time scale here.
Yeah. I know. I'm looking at a particular signal path. The signal strength, is it?
Yeah, this is
VLF.
yeah, this is the relative amplitude. It's not calibrated yet, so it's a relative amplitude of the signal strength of the VLF transmitter NAU, and it's around 25 point some kilohertz. It's a transmitter in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico was 40 kilohertz.
No, this is what station was in it? It might have been a another station, but this is
There's a 25.2. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, yeah. So what we're looking at here is from at between 5 and 8 UT. There's a little dip in signal strength.
The dip is sorry, the dip is starting before 0500.
Well, I was looking at it. Kind of plateaus a little bit between 4 and 5, and after that there's that little dip, and I was wondering if that could be related to the event. But again, it really depends on the path.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure on this, but I'm pretty confident with NAA.
About how fast would that shockwave have been traveling?
I believe there were some calculations. It was pretty quick.
Wouldn't it be the speed of sound?
Intuitively, I would think it'd be something like that.
Well, there were two speeds of sound that I've seen. One is surface and one is up in the ionosphere, upper atmosphere.
I assume that one's faster.
Correct. About twice as fast.
Twice as fast, okay. But still, it would take some distance to propagate around to this side of the world.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did, and that might be one of the reasons why that we're seeing kind of a delayed reaction, because it took longer time to affect the propagation path. That I mean that was kind of what I was thinking, but I'm not really sure. Others, there was Peter, who's based in Scotland. He also monitors NAA, and he captured a very similar curve to me. Other people didn't really show anything all that, nothing out of the ordinary. But
by the way, Jonathan, Puerto Rico is 40.8 kilohertz, and that is NAU. 25.2, that's the North Dakota.
Oh, that's right.
NML.
Yeah. Okay, so then yes, that is 40.8. Yep.
Has everybody gotten a chance to check in?
I believe
Unless
so.
someone new has come in, yes, I believe we have.
Do you see somebody?
I don't know. Just asking.
Looking at the tabulated data for the 15th, I'm seeing excursions of 1.5 hertz several times that morning.
Yeah, mine's going off the 1 hertz scale.
Yeah, well, as I say, mine went all the way to 1.5 plus, minus actually.
That's on the 15th.
15th, yeah. And several different times I'm looking at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6 nines, and then an 8, and then a .5 or a .4 something.
And which frequency, 10 megahertz?
This is 10 megahertz. I'm in Arizona, northern Arizona.
And you're relatively close to WWV compared to, say, me, I think.
Yeah, 520 miles.
Yeah, you're closer.
Quite a bit, I would think.
Yes. I'm Atlanta, a little bit further. If you can send me their fonts, I'll be happy to see if I can kind of put them together and overlay the times of these events and see if something comes out of that.
Will do.
I'd be happy to give you my data too.
Everybody send Jim the 15th
Yeah.
plot. Do you want the data too?
Yeah, why don't you send me the, also send me the plot from the 14th just for control. Just so we can see the difference. I'm not sure anything will come out of that, but it's only bytes on my hard drive.
You see what the 14th looks like here.
Yeah. I don't think there was anything spectacular on the 14th, as I recall, when you looked at
Big spike in signal strength about between 6 and 7 hours. That
I
happens
was
occasionally.
going to share my data via the chat, but I can't seem to upload a photo, although I know I have in the past. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or if you can't do that anymore.
Actually, looking at my data for the 14th, something strange started happening around 2200 hours UTC. I don't know whether it was the same thing I was seeing on the 15th or not, but it might have been. I'm not sure. But I was getting some unusual variation starting about 2200 hours.
It's a little bit different here, but not hugely. About between 21 and 2200.
Yeah.
It just looks different. Okay, and that's the 14th.
Correct.
Okay, I'll get you 14th data and plots.
Yeah, if everybody can send me those, I'll put them together and I'll overlay the time of the eruption and also see what I can find on solar events that might have occurred that day.
That's the 14th and the 15th?
Yes.
Great.
Dave was right. There are two speeds of sound, and it depends on height. There's one at sea level, and there's one at 50,000 feet, and I'm sure that probably depends on density of the air.
Yeah.
Actually a temperature thing.
Also see where we get any mean reflection points and see how long it should have taken something to propagate to that mean reflection point, I guess. I'm not sure it's the best way to look at it at that point. I get started and then see where it goes.
You're right, it is temperature. Why is it temperature dependent?
That's how fast the molecules are moving.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Do we know what did we say the exact time was for the volcano eruption?
About 0500. I'll look it up and find out exactly what it was. I don't know right offhand.
Great.
Fortunately, everyone's reporting at local time. Still looking for a UT. I know I saw it somewhere.
The USGS website, earthquake.usgs.gov, is reporting it as 0414 UTC, 0414.
That's probably a reliable time then.
That's the one that I have.
I would suspect that's a reliable time. Well, we'll get started and see what, if anything, comes out of it.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it will be. I'll probably be in touch with you too, Nathaniel, about ways
Sure,
to present the data.
I'll be happy to.
Thanks.
I would think a lot of times we've seen in the ionosphere when there's hurricanes or tsunamis or explosions like that, you often see traveling ionospheric disturbances come out of that. So that might be the sort of thing that you might see.
Yeah. Dumb question. How do you identify a TID as such?
You'd see some sort of oscillation in either the Doppler shift or the power data.
Right.
And it'd probably have a period of, somewhere between 15 to 60 minutes.
Can you feel you can reliably identify them based on the data of one station?
Well, I think that's really tricky.
Yeah, I would think so.
Because I'm looking at my data right now.
Yeah, you generally need several stations and you watch it go
Yeah, I would
past.
think so.
That's what we do with
I may have
our
sent
AM
you
system.
I think I sent you the wrong data, Jim. So maybe ignore my last email. I will resend it to you.
Okay. Because I get such oscillations on the 15th and a little bit on the 14th late in the day.
The thing is, you get oscillations all of the time in
Right.
this
Yeah.
data. And
yeah, I get them frequently, and I was assuming that was not enough to identify it as a TID.
Yeah. Well, I mean, TIDs occur almost all of the time too. So like what you're seeing may very well likely be a TID if it is, oscillating. But to be able to say that the trick for this one is to say the TID that I'm seeing here, I can definitively identify it as coming from the earthquake region.
Yeah.
Or in this case, the volcano region. And that's the real trick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jim, data's on the way.
Okay, thank you. I will start putting it together tomorrow, and we'll see where it leads. I'm not sure where it's going to be yet. We'll find out.
Email address k4bse@arrl.net.
Yep, that's good.
Should be on its way.
Thank you.
I sent you the correct, Jim, I sent you the correct data files, but I sent you the wrong plots.
Okay, thanks.
I will resend you the correct plots.
Okay, I don't have my email open now. Just a second, I'll get it.
Yeah. But 22, 14, 15.
There was a time lapse, short time lapse sequence compiled from that Japanese weather satellite, I think it was, that showed that shock wave going out. Really incredible.
Okay, I've got one from Nathaniel and one from Joe.
As I said, I will resend you the correct plots.
Okay, thank you.
Should have the 14th and 15th, both plots and data.
Yes.
Let me know if there's anything else I can send.
All right, thank you. By the way, I got those 2 emails. Anybody else send me anything? You may get stuck in my spam filter, but I check it a couple of times a day and I'll clear you out when I see it.
I get very little stuff in my spam filter.
I get a lot. I will
Wow.
sometimes have over 100 messages a day in there.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
I'm real glad they're getting filtered out.
Oh, geez.
Well, you know, I've had this address for a long time, and I've written articles, I've published articles, I've edited columns and periodicals, and your name gets out there and everybody gets you on their mailing list. And once you're on, good luck getting off.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Here is a, I'm gonna put this in the chat. I can send it by email to you too, Jim, but everyone should be able to get this. This is a Journal of Geophysical Research article on observations of the 2009 Samoa and 2010 Chile tsunamis as observed in the ionosphere using GPS total electron content.
Oh, yes, I see that. Very good.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of background reading and information in there about how tsunamis can affect the ionosphere. And then there's some really nice plots in here showing how you see that data in the GPS total electron content. Now, we are not looking at total electron content with our data, but our data may see the same sorts of oscillations that the TEC is seeing. So you can look for oscillations with similar periods and frequencies as you would see in these in the TEC data.
Yeah, as I see that in that article, yes.
Yeah.
Take me a while to sort this.
So what I might look for, so when you're looking at all this data, here I can show one on my screen. So you can look at both the Doppler shift and the relative power. They both might have useful information in them. But as you can see, we just see lots and lots and lots of wiggles. And so the question is, which ones mean something,
right?
Which ones don't?
Yeah.
And so I think this is where some sort of a correlation analysis, would make sense. So if all of the data that you're seeing sees wave signatures with roughly the same wavelengths or periods in some sort of a coherent manner shortly after the tsunami took place, that might be something that would be kind of a telltale signature.
It's interesting. Mine shows something very similar to yours, starting at about 2150. But the stuff in the morning there, I don't see anything comparable to that.
Right. So so see if you do see something there, But then also, yeah, if you see something else that looks interesting that you see in all of our data, that might be worth trying to understand what's going
Yeah.
on too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll need a lot of hand holding with this, but I'll take a look at it, see what we come up with.
Nathaniel, you're 14.
I'm 14, yes.
Yeah, there is some pretty strong stuff right there at the late afternoon, my time.
Yes, there is.
Where'd my 14 go? Too many windows open.
Yeah, I know. On 2 computers and I got too many windows open.
Let me send the correct version.
Okay, 14th. Yeah, mine's just bouncing around. It's not doing anything like yours, Nathaniel.
Jim, I think I sent you the data via your MindSpring email.
It comes to the same place.
Okay. I hope it comes through as 9 megabytes or something.
I haven't seen it yet, but it winds up in the same place. Actually, that K4BSE forwards to the MindSpring. When I reply, you'll see it from MindSpring.
That's what I do here too. My W7LUX gets bounced to my regular Nova email account.
Okay, David, yours just wound up in the spam blocker, and I'm clearing it now.
Well,
Okay,
it's very,
it's in my inbox.
It's very possible I am spam.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean,
Monty Python made quite a deal about spam, so hey.
No, I sure don't see that. Go ahead, Jim.
It's a little bit time shifted, but yours looks, there's something that starts on the 14th, around 2200 hours. Yours, mine, Nathaniel's all show kind of the same kind of perturbations there. And then a lot of stuff on the 15th. It'd be kind of interesting to get into and see what any conclusions we can draw.
Since I guess we are a little off topic, well, I guess this isn't off topic, but as far as the grape receiver goes, I just have a dipole that's set up low on a fence and going around on part of my deck, and it's a very informal antenna, and I've been operating on 10 meters and not turning it off. I suppose I should see if that's causing an issue with it, but I obviously haven't killed it or overloaded it. I mean, I'm only putting out, 100 watts, but should I be turning off the grape when I'm transmitting on HF?
It would depend on how your transmitting antenna couples into your receiving antenna. Are they
Right.
parallel? Are they perpendicular? Similar heights? There's obviously a lot of variables to transfer energy from one to the other.
Yeah, I have a loop antenna, commercial loop that I'm using for the 10 megahertz receive, and my my HF transmit antenna now is an in-fed. And the base of the in-fed is probably 20 to 30 feet from the loop. And then it separates further out as the in-fed goes up into a tree. I have not seen anything, and I've run up to about 500-600 watts on 80 meters. And I've looked and I haven't seen any effect. I would say look and see if there's an effect or not. If there's a correlatable effect, then it would be worth at least flagging that. If there's no correlatable effect, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, and I've only looked casually, and I'm running just 100 watts. I suppose I should.
Yeah, I normally
Yeah.
run 100 watts, but I sometimes will run 500 watts or so.
I don't have much choice. I use the same antenna for 75 meters and
Right.
for 10 megs. Well, I've got a 80-meter dipole up there, and it works pretty well on a lot of different frequencies. It's fed with ladder line and a tuner.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, let me see how I can put some of these together, and let me absorb some of this information that people put links up on. And
Yeah. A really
see where
good
it goes.
thing to do is start all into a PowerPoint presentation, because then you can organize it nicely
Right.
as you get more data from people.
Yep. Yeah, I will do that.
Hey, Jonathan, do you want to do a similar sort of PowerPoint presentation for the VLF observations?
Yes. So the plan is for HamSci is I'm going to put in there the SAQ reception, amateur transmissions, and this Tonga event. I was gonna put all that in there after I talk about the system in general.
Great. You might,
Nathaniel?
if you need to, yeah, Jonathan, that would be perfect. Yes, Joe.
Could you send out a blurb, a quick email to everybody to send Jim their plots and data from the 14th and 15th?
Sure. Or Jim, do you just want to send an email out requesting they send it directly to you?
Yeah, I can. I'm trying to think where I can get a mailing list from.
You can send it to the whole, well, you can send it to the grape list.
Okay.
And if you want, you can also send it to the whole HamSci list.
And on a different topic, Jonathan, thank you for getting back about the VLF. And I didn't realize the VLF was very affected by trees, but Jonathan sent me back an email saying that you actually can tap your trees and put a copper spike in them. And it's too bad Jules isn't here, because if I don't think I have any sugar maples, but I could maybe get maple syrup and VLF. But
That's very attractive.
That could be kind
I don't think I have any sugar maples.
That can be kind of sticky data, can't it?
Your grade of syrup may vary.
Yeah, data is always sticky.
Yeah.
But I may try that. I may get back to you about what kind of height I need on a particular tree, but that might be worth trying.
It's as high as you can go. However high your ladder is, however high that you want to go, it's as high as you can go. Trees are excellent VLF antennas, and they work really well. Oftentimes, you do not need any sort of preamp when you feed it into the sound card. What you can do is you could tap your antenna lead and your ground lead, connect that to the audio isolation transformer, and then the other end of the transformer you could connect to like a little Radio Shack audio amplifier or something like that, and you should be able to hear spherics. And all you need is an audio isolation transformer. I would recommend probably something from Edcore. They make really nice transformers, but anyone will work, and anyone you could find really, as long as it has a good enough response. The Triad SP70 has a pretty good response up to 100 kHz, but it doesn't really do well with the anything below like 60 hertz. Kind of distorts, but that doesn't matter. So as long as you could just find any transformer or any audio isolation transformer and tap your tree, as I mentioned in the mail, and if you hook that up to a little pocket audio amplifier, you should hear spherics. And you could run that into the house, into another audio isolation transformer, and then into your sound card of your computer.
And is this going to eventually be part of the space weather personal space weather station?
Yeah,
I mean, not necessarily the tree, but the
right. Well, the computer portion, that's going to be replaced with my VLF module. That's going to plug into the Tangerine SDR. You'll still need a computer to process the data, but the sound card of the computer, that's going to be replaced by the VLF module. And one of the options people can use is people can use a tree as a VLF antenna. It is very effective. It's actually really cool how you can.
Yeah, I
use,
just Googled it. Trees as VLF antennas, a whole bunch of stuff pops up.
yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, and if
Jonathan,
what?
Why didn't we do that at my property? I have a couple of trees.
Oh yeah, you have quite a bit of them. Yeah, we could try it. We could definitely try it.
Looks like most of the trees behind you are flat though.
I have more trees the other. I've got more trees in other places.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of trees.
Do you have to prune the tree to frequency?
I am surrounded by ponderosa pine trees.
I do believe a tree would classify as a fractal antenna.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the good things is that they're excellent absorbers of the E field because of the water that they contain. So they're really good antennas. In fact,
Unfortunately, they wouldn't be working so well right now, our location.
Yeah, we're in a long-term drought out here in Arizona.
Yeah, but ours are frozen.
well, they would probably still be pretty effective.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Does the sap in a tree freeze? I wouldn't think so.
Well, they certainly dry out. Sap
Yeah.
goes down into the ground. And
That's why.
yeah, they basically almost, they're high sugar content during the
Right.
winter.
If it gets cold enough, they freeze. I remember when I was skiing when I was a kid and it got real cold. I mean, well below zero, when you could hear just like explosions going off in the trees around you from the sap freezing and the tree expanding and blowing up.
Wow.
well, and certainly the concept of collecting maple syrup is when the sap is running, and that's obviously seasonal.
But
Now,
I mean,
I don't know about
Yeah,
a
but-
cactus.
Yep.
Jonathan, can you use a cactus for a VLF?
I'm
Sure, why not?
But I mean, that's why that I said to use a large nail, because you want to get really, inside the tree, like to the center of the tree.
You got to be careful with cactus. A couple of decades ago, some turkey down in the Phoenix area was shooting up a cactus. He shot off one of the limbs. The cactus got even, killed him.
Ooh.
Yeah, it fell over on him, didn't it?
Say again, please.
The cactus fell over on him. The guy that was shooting it fell on him, didn't it?
Yeah, the limb fell on him.
Yeah.
Big, heavy thing, hundreds of pounds, with all these little sharp, sticky things on it. Oh, it
Yeah,
killed him.
Cactus is mostly water.
Yeah. Water and thorns,
Yeah.
or they call
It
them
doesn't
spines. I don't
sound
know.
pleasant.
Well, I mean, humans are mostly water too.
Yeah, true.
But a giant saguaro is like thousands of pounds.
You don't want one of those falling on you.
No.
It'd be a very painful ending.
Well, I hope we find something with this tsunami. That would be very interesting.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah. It looks like there's a good chance with Jonathan's plots. I'm not sure about the grape. I think that's going to be I think it's possible. It could very well be in there, but I think it's going to take some more investigation.
Nathaniel, I can include other images like what I sent in that email to the group. The pictures of the lightning superimposed over the satellite image. And
Yeah, I absolutely think you should build up like a case book or a story of, so you don't just use the VLF data from our place or just the grape data. Like if you have those other data sources, I think you should include them.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna because the way that I wrote the email, I basically told the story, and that's how I'll do it in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to tell a story that says, this is what happened, how it started, what we see along the way. You need to show all the data, and then we need to have the physics that links one thing to the next.
Yeah. That'll work out really nice. It'll be a nice presentation because there was a lot of data that different people found. So you could correlate, the dip in amplitude at the time of the event. You could also correlate the lightning activity with the Schumann resonances. So it's really cool. So yeah, it'll be nice. So I'll just include that in the presentation, and then this will be more science themed because it's more of a science themed.
And if you, for the Hamsci workshop, you can decide if you want to do submit two separate abstracts, one that's your engineering work, and then a second one that's your science, or if you want to combine it all into one thing.
Okay. All right. I will figure that out. It kind of depends on how much material I have.
Yeah.
Hopefully by the time that we get to that point, I want to have some more data from the system that I could display.
Yeah. I think that sounds like a good plan.
Okay.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. It'll be really cool to kind of show how we could, show how everything is interconnected.
Yeah, I'm hoping that once we get some of these presentations, put together and a little bit more developed too, we might actually be able to write it up for legitimate publication, which I think is very possible, because the way this whole personal space weather station project got funded was we went and talked about it at the Hamsci workshop at Tapper and then the Hamsci workshop. And then after we did that, we wrote it up and we got funded. So we can do a similar thing with this. We see the data, make some presentations on it, show it at the workshop, and then we actually write it up. And that would be perfect.
Nice. Sounds great.
if we see anything in the grape data, it'd also be interesting, Bill, if we could see something in Whisper and RBN and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm just right now transferring some data off of my grape that was collected using HDF5, rather digital RF. And I'm going to take a look at around between 4 and 6 UTC on the 15th and see what we see there. But I'll definitely also take a look at the PSK data. I'm finding that the PSK data, we're getting like 10 to 15 million spots per day on PSK data. And that is an order of magnitude more than anybody else is collecting. And so it's become a very nice data collection tool now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and in my first draft of my paper, I had Whisper down as having a higher amount of data, but I had only looked at like 2017. If you look at like last year, it's like
PSK,
dramatically.
because PSK is the one that's collecting FT8, right?
Yeah, and it's taken off like gangbusters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But now with the PSK, how do you deal with people who are just running huge watts with FT8, which seems to have become almost the norm? I mean, I think it's sort of taken over. So people are running like full legal limit on PSK. Does that affect the data in any way?
Well, it probably does, although what we're looking at is signal path length, and that is quite sensitive to the height of the ionosphere, as opposed to the amount of power somebody is running. So, I mean, it's kind of like a geometry thing. I mean, more power actually gives us more signals to work with because more people are going to hear that station. And that's one of the things. A lot of people turn their rig on and let it collect data all the time. Like I have a red Pitaya that's collecting on like 8 bands. I just plugged in all the time, and it reports all those contacts. I'm sure I'm not the only one doing that. So,
because I mean, it seems like with Whisper, people are using relatively low power as to try to actually look at the propagation. But
right.
FT8 has just become I don't want to say a vanity thing, but I mean, people are just pumping everything they have into it.
Well, it's a great way to collect lots of endorsements for your 5-band DXCC and all that, and the number of countries you've worked and all that stuff. Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, even with a modest station, you can just rack up the wallpaper. I mean, so.
Yeah, but so far, all of the data analysis that I've been successful with RBN, Whisper, PSK Reporter, I have not looked at signal to noise ratios or the only thing I've looked at is basically, do we see a spot or not? And we look at where it's located in time and geographically. We don't look at signal to noise ratio or reported signal strength. And so far, we've been, I think, pretty successful just doing it that way.
I'm looking at my 10 meg graph for the 15th, and it really took off just before 0500. That lasted about 3 hours. Then there's some real excursions starting about, well, between 10 and 12. That's, I'm not sure if that's correlated or not, but those from 10 to 12 UT are just plus or minus 1 to 1.5 hertz. Now I may be monitoring WWVH as well as WWV.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if, how much H is in there. Even in Atlanta, I sometimes hear a fair amount of H.
I'm a whole lot closer than you are.
Yes, you are much closer. So that's another thing that kind of complicates the data, but it'll be interesting to what we get, to what we come up with.
Well, the stuff on mine between about, looks like about 5 and 8 or 9 UT, 5 and 8, say. I see that occasionally, but it's not real common.
Yeah, and I see these excursions like this occasionally, but not real commonly.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you find looking at
know,
all these different charts.
Start putting together and see where we come out. We knew what we're going to find. It wouldn't be research.
Well, the best kind of research is when the guy looks at the data and said, gee, that's funny.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Well, I'm going to say 73 for now.
Yeah, I got it.
73.
73.
Thank you, everybody.
Roger, agree with that. Have a good one.
73.
Everybody be safe.
73.
73.